Board Member Discipline?
Yeah.
Board Member Moy?
Yes.
Board Member Sorg?
Yes.
Supervisor Dent?
Yes.
So resolution 122-16. Accept ballot petition for Phoenicia Library budget increase. Whereas the Shandaken Town Clerk has reviewed and certified as correct and accurate the petition presented by the Phoenicia Library Association requesting an increase of the annual contribution of the town of Shandaken for the operating budget of the Phoenicia Library, and the town board having determined that said petition is significant in form and content. Sufficient. Sorry. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Shandaken requests that the Ulster County Board of Elections place the following proposition on November 8, 2016 ballot of the town of Shandaken to be voted yes or no by the voters of the town of Shandaken. Yes or no, shall the town of Shandaken increase its annual contribution for the operating budget of the Phoenicia Library by $68,000 to the sum of $162,000 annually? And I move its adoption.
I'll second.
Board Member Alba?
No.
Board Member Discipline?
Yes.
Board Member Moy?
Yes.
Board Member Sorg?
Yes.
Supervisor Dent?
Yes. Resolution 123-16, authorized purchase of playground equipment. Whereas under Section 38A of Town of Shandaken Town Code, the Town of Shandaken Town Board established the Parks and Recreation Board in order to provide continued maintenance and improvements to town-owned and operated parks and recreational activities. And whereas the Town of Shandaken Parks and Recreation Board has thoroughly researched commercial-grade soccer equipment and met and discussed options to improve recreational grounds and services to our residents and visitors alike. And whereas the Town of Shandaken Parks and Recreation Board earlier this year was awarded a grant through the O'Connor Foundation for the purpose of upgrading and purchasing certain playground structures. And whereas the Town of Shandaken Parks and Recreation Board, through Resolution PR 1-16, formally requests the Town Board approve the purchase of two 6.5-foot by 18.5-foot by 2.7 feet professional alum post soccer goals with goal nets, fasteners, and goal anchors at a cost not to exceed $1,456.64 to be placed in Smith Park and Pine Hill. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Shandaken Town Board hereby authorizes the purchase of said equipment through the funds provided by the O'Connor Foundation and move its adoption.
I'll second.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member Discipline?
Yes.
Board Member Moy?
Yes.
Board Member Sorg?
Yes.
Supervisor Dent?
Yes.
Resolution 124-16, purchase of storage building for town museum. Whereas the town of Shandaken owns and operates the town of Shandaken Historical Museum located at 26 Academy Street, Pine Hill, New York, SBL number 4.46-1-25. And whereas the museum director and board have requested the purchase of a storage barn in order to store necessary items. And whereas the museum board of directors has provided 3 written cost estimates to the town for consideration. And whereas the museum board of directors in town seek to purchase the lowest bid for a 12-by-12 gambrel barn from Farmer Jones Baby Barns located at 17 New York State Route 42, P.O. Box 75, Shandaken, New York 12480, for a price not to exceed $4,406.95. $4,406.95. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board authorize the town supervisor to contact DEP officials to retain permission for the use of the town of Shandaken's Good Neighbor Fund for such purpose. And be it yet further resolved that following approval for use of Good Neighbor funds, the town of Shandaken Town Board authorizes the purchase of said barn for the museum. And I move its adoption.
I'll second that.
Board Member Alba?
Yes.
Board Member Discipline?
Yes.
Board Member Moy?
Yes.
Board Member Sorg?
Yes.
Supervisor Dent?
Yes.
Resolution 125-16, resolution to auction and replace obsolete highway equipment. Whereas the town of Shandaken has identified equipment that has been deemed obsolete, and whereas the town would like to offer equipment up for auction through auctionsinternational.com, and whereas the following equipment has been identified as obsolete: 1997 Gravely 494 Pro Chipper. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board hereby authorized to place the above-mentioned item up for bid through auctionsinternational.com and replaced with purchase of 2016 model 1390 XP-15 drum style brush bandit through National Joint Power Alliance under Town of Shandaken member number 111422, not to exceed purchase price of $42,000. Wow. $42,000 and move its adoption.
I'll second.
Board Member Albert?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Dennis?
Yes.
Resolution 12616, set special meeting dates and advertise for Highway Panther Kill Bridge project. Whereas the Town of Shandaken Highway Department is seeking bids to replace the Panther Kill Bridge as a result of Hurricane Irene damage. There will be a mandatory bid meeting on Monday, August 15th, 2016 at 10 a.m. at the Shandaken Town Hall. Specifications are available at the Highway Superintendent's Office, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York, or by calling 845-688-5031 or on the town website, www.shandaken.us/bids. Therefore, be it resolved that bids clearly marked on envelope Panther Kill Bridge project will be received at the town clerk's office, Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, P.O. Box 67, Shandaken, New York, 12480, no later than noon on Friday, August 26th, to be opened at noon on that date, 8/26/16, and be awarded on the Thursday, September 1st at 1 p.m. The Town Board reserves the right to reject any or all bids. Be it further resolved that the Town Board set the following special meeting date to receive the bids and award said bid. Thursday, September 1, 2016 at 1 p.m. to award bid. Board award contingent upon GOSR approval to execute a contract. And I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Albert?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yeah.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Dennis?
Yes.
Resolution 12716, accept bids for repairs to roof of town-owned building. Whereas the Town of Shandaken owns a parcel of land with two structures located on it at 9 Mountain Ava Maria Road, Phoenicia, New York, 12464, SBL number 1413-124. And whereas the Town Board under Resolution 11916 advertised for responsible bidders to address repair and replacement of the roof of the primary structure. And whereas the town has received roof bids from the following contractors.
You want to just, I'll read them off as we do them, okay? I'm going to do them in order on your list.
We have a list?
First one, it's on the resolution. Are you familiar?
She's got the list. She's the records book. She's
All
got
right,
the
first
list.
one is Cornerstone Restoration at 45 Napera Place, Yonkers, New York, 10703. Material label, that's it. $23,000. Right? Okay, second one. Farmer Jones, 17 Route 422, Shandaken, New York, 12480. $14,750. Third one is J&A Roofing, P.O. Box 3507, Kingston, New York, 12401. Okay, $8,795.
For 23.
They look red roof.
Per foot?
Now, were these all specified as like a 50-year roof or a 30-year?
Yeah, what kind of shingles are on there?
Architectural. 30-year architectural.
So,
So,
fourth one,
when we get
Oh,
done,
there's one more?
HNI Builders, 407 Shandaken Road, Kingston, New York, 12401. HNI, 11,400.
Therefore,
hold on,
more?
I showed the building about 9 different companies.
NSG Construction, PO Box 3002, Kingston, New York, $9,750.
Ooh. I think Rick wants to get his roof redone.
Last one is from
Write down
Walk
the names.
Hill Build Design, 145 Lippincott Road, Walk Hill, New York. Oh, that's right. Oh. Okay. $9,600. Yes.
That's it?
That's it.
All right. Therefore be resolved that the town of Shandaken Town Board wishes to accept the above bids for consideration. And be it further resolved that the town board authorize the town supervisor to contact DEP officials to retain permission for the use of the town of Shandaken's Good Neighbor Fund for such purpose. And be it yet further resolved that following proof of meeting criteria set forth by the town advertised review of the completeness and approval for use of Good Neighbor funds, the town of Shandaken Town Board awards said roof repair project to Jane, located in Kingston, for the price of $8,795. And incidental costs as may arise. And I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Apple? Yes. Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Campbell?
Yes. So, Joyce, keep those together. I'll go through them tomorrow morning, make sure that they're all right. So the questions were, what was the minimum bid? I'm sorry, if you want to hold on a second. Minimum bid was the minimum of a 30-year architectural shingle. Basically, we had a Timberline catalog there, so we were showing them Timberlines. They don't necessarily, aren't beholden to use that brand, but something similar. They also have to provide 3 foot minimum of ice and water shield, all the drip edges, and all flashings around all the siding, chimneys, and everything else. So it's the whole kit and caboodle. And they're removing the roof, the existing roof as it is, and replacing any sheathing. So where it says here, incidental costs may arise, generally when they have a bid for the roof, you'll see a per square foot for replacing sheathing if it turns out that it's rotted. But two of the several contractors I had go up there, they were on the roof and they said they didn't think that there was probably going to be much problem with the sheathing. But it is all inclusive of removal of the old shingles and putting this new in.
Good.
I answer your question, Bert?
No, you answered.
Okay. So, Resolution 12816, accept bids for repairs to basement entrance of town-owned building. Whereas the town of Shandaken owns a parcel of land with 2 structures located on it at 9 Mount Ave Maria Drive, Phoenicia, New York, 12464, SBL number 14.13-1-24. And whereas the town board under Resolution 11916 advertised for responsible bidders to address repair and replacement of the basement entrance of the primary structure. And whereas the town has received basement bids from the following contractors.
Okay. The first one is Cornerstone, again, restoration, 45 in Clare Place, Yonkers, New York, 10703. $18,000. one is
Not even
Farmer Jones, Route 42, Shandaken. $7,400. Third is from H&I Builders, 407 Shandaken Road, Kingston. $10,900. NSG Construction, P.O. Box 3002, Kingston, New York. $9,500. And the last one is from Walk Hill Building Design, 145 Lippincott Road, Walk Hill. $2,600. What? $2,600.
Yeah, again, I gotta review this.
Yeah, $2,600. So we'll disperse.
Although that's from wood store or metal?
It's all, again, it was spec'd out as a precast concrete drop-in entryway, a fireproof door leading into the building itself, as well as a steel Bilco door on the top.
We'll disperse.
Well, so just so you know, Walk Hill was the one, Walk Hill Builders were the ones that bid on the kiosk project back in the fall, and we questioned their price, and they stuck with that price.
Oh, yeah,
Good job, their kiosk, they put them in there.
Yeah, they did, very nice.
Therefore, be it resolved, the Town of Shandaken Town Board wishes to accept the above bids for consideration. Be it further resolved that the Town Board authorize the Town Supervisor to contact DEP officials to retain permission for the use of the Town of Shandaken's Good Neighbor Fund for such purposes. And be it yet further resolved that following proof of meeting criteria set forth by the town as advertised, review for completeness, and approval for use of Good Neighbor funds, the Town of Shandaken Town Board awards said basement repair project to Walk Hill Builders and, is it Walk Hill Builder and Design?
Walk Hill Building Design.
145 Lippincott Road.
Located in Walk Hill, New York?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
For the price of $2,600 and incidental costs as may arise, and move its adoption.
Yeah.
Second.
Board Member Allen? Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storrs?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 129, ambulance training officer. Whereas under section 20 of the town law, the town board shall designate all appointed officers and employees of the town. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board accept the resignation of Brendan Whalen as training officer effective 8/1/16, and the following personnel be appointed to the Shandaken Town Ambulance as training officers: Michael Williams at the following rates: $5,000 annum. And I move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member DeScalani?
Yes.
Board Member Malloy?
Yes.
Board Member Storrs?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes. Open public comment?
A couple of years ago, when we had the New York Rising Funds and the projects for that, the bridge on Moore Road, Fox Hollow Road, was on that list. And I was a little concerned because I always understood that bridge to be a private bridge, and I didn't know whether they would qualify. So I inquired, and I was told that, yes, a private bridge did qualify for New York Rising Funds. Now I understand that was, I think, $400,000 plus project. Now I understand that bridge is again on a project list, but this time for FEMA funds, again over $400,000. For FEMA funds, I believe you have to be a public bridge. So I would like the town board, in cooperation with the highway supervisor, to clarify this situation about what the second work is, and if this bridge, which has always, to my knowledge, been a private bridge, doesn't qualify for FEMA funds. Those are expended by the town in advance and then reimbursed. And so it seems to me that the town might be at risk if that bridge does not qualify for FEMA funding.
So I can clarify a little bit, and I'm sure Eric can go in detail about this, but we did have a meeting, just immediately following, what was it, Eric, maybe 6 months after Irene, that we were here and we were discussing bridge projects and what needed to be repaired. There's a woman that lives on the other side of Muller Bridge that came to us, and we were at the time under the impression that Muller Bridge was a private bridge. She came in with maps from the 1950s from the county showing Muller Bridge as a municipal bridge, and it had a bin tag, the bridge identification number. That tag somehow, in the 70s, 80s, 90s period, relocated itself onto a private bridge, what we would consider a private bridge for Dutch Road, just downstream from Muller Road Bridge. So that bin tag mysteriously removed itself from that bridge and put itself on this other bridge to where the DOT, So the DOT came to do inspection and said, well, that bridge isn't even long enough to be considered a municipal bridge, so why are we doing any inspection? We shouldn't have to inspect it, we're calling it a private bridge. Well, that is not the case. Again, Eric can go in detail. We provided the documentation. Originally, the project was under New York Rising, and it wasn't because of it being a private bridge. It was because we were considering it a municipal bridge, and it was under what we were calling the 5-bridge infrastructure project. Well, luckily, Eric argued correctly with FEMA, and when it was able to get 4 of those bridges in that project funded through FEMA, as opposed to the New York Rising. So instead of not wasting, but using $3 million, that is the sole amount allocated in that New York Rising project monies, now we get to take almost $2 million of that off, and we only have to fund the Panther Kill Bridge, which we're going out to bid on now, is going through the New York Rising project because FEMA doesn't want to pay for that. Again, there's multiple reasons as to why FEMA decides whether a bridge can be funded or not, but FEMA does fund public bridges, and we have had to provide documentation on several occasions because of a specific resident that continues to raise questions about the validity of that bridge being a public bridge. And we have responded accordingly with all the documentation that we have between county, state DOT officials, and whoever else can provide us documentation. We were actually at a public meeting here when the woman came running from the back of the room and waving a map, went, I found it. And she laid the map right here. This was 2012, 2013, late 2012.
You didn't have to go to her. I know that that's been a public bridge.
Okay, thanks.
Bobby Muller lived up there, and that was a public
So,
bridge. I think
If you want more detail on it, I'm sure Eric can fill you in on all those details as to how
Well, I
that.
have 2 questions that I don't think you answered. One is, I think there's only 2 houses beyond that bridge, which is not usually enough to qualify as a public
Right.
bridge. And the second is, why were there 2 bridge projects? Did the $400,000 actually get expended out of New York Rising, or are you saying that that project never happened? Because
No,
there's been
because-
work on that bridge.
No, because, okay, so the work that went on in that bridge was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I think it was an EWP project. It was an emergency watershed protection project from Natural Resource Conservation Service. I'm gonna start throwing around a lot of acronyms here. But it was a previous project that the feds had undertaken to secure the abutments above that bridge, and they went to re-secure that, the project that they had lost during Irene. The bridge project was never funded through New York Rising. It was set,
on the list.
it was on the list and was ready to go, but as we're seeing, we're just getting to the Panther Kill project now. That's where those other 5 bridges would have been as well. New York Rising is a slug, and I'll say it again, a slug of a program. But the money is there, it's due to be spent by 2019, so I think the people in Albany are starting to put it in high gear and starting to move these projects forward. We did not expend monies for the Muller Bridge project until we started doing this construction phase to replace that bridge and repair it under the FEMA program. So yes, and you are correct in that town monies are expended, and then we are reimbursed by FEMA Thus, if you recall, back in March, we did what's called a bond anticipation note, which allows us to borrow upwards of $2.5 million over the next year to 2 years while we fund these projects, because it's not within our normal operational budget. But then, so we can be, when we get our refund from FEMA, that floats right back to the bank that we established the bond.
So how do we know that the information provided by this woman who said that she found this information, which seems to give a benefit to 2 families beyond the bridge at the cost to taxpayers, how do we know that that's the correct information and not the information that had been previously in the records?
You can speak to Eric in detail again about this. I'm not going to drag up the meeting on it, but it wasn't just on this woman's word. Believe me, we were under the impression that it was a private bridge. We were not putting it on our list of projects to be dealt with following Irene because we considered it a private bridge at the time. When she confronted us with the information, we verified with the county and the state at that time that this is what had transpired. We have, I believe Eric has a copy of the resolution. He showed me, it's from like 1955, showing that the town was doing repairs to that bridge back in the 50s. So at some point, and just because there's 2 parcels there now, or 2 homes there now, is not necessarily the way it has always been. There may have been more houses or homes up there accessible. I don't know. I wasn't here in the 50s. Wasn't even alive.
There were 5 bridges. Peck Hollow was only 2 houses past Peck Hollow. There's still another bridge that the town owns past it, so there's no criteria on how many houses have to be on the road for it to be a town bridge. I don't know who told you that.
So simple. Again, he has more details than I think. I've got a good handle on it, but he knows a lot more details than I do. So, but yeah, we're moving forward as a FEMA project. The contract has been paid, and we're moving on, and hopefully